It is amazing the degree to which you will go well out of your way to seek refuge in your own bullshit. That's the way I opened one of the articles that I wrote today, and I'm going to make a video on the same topic. And the topic is how you lie to yourself in different ways and ways that you can fight against that, right? So one of the main themes in my writing is that, self-improvement as a whole is really a battle of not falling for your own BS. It's a battle of being honest with yourself, and it's a battle of seeing through the fog so you can figure out what you really actually need to do to change. And it's really, really hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for everyone on planet Earth to see through our own rationalizations because we're rationalization machines. So that's one of the first steps. Understand that you are falling prey to a narrative that is 9 times out of 10 incorrect. And coming from that understanding, instead of just trying to get everything figured out, you can progressively get better by lying to yourself a little bit less. If you can lie to yourself 5 to 10% a little bit less than you are right now, you can make significant changes in your life. So without further ado, let's jump into the topic: 5 lies that you tell yourself that keep you from living a better life. Oh, one more thing quick before we get to that. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, just do it. Hit the notification bell, just do it. If you're on Instagram, share it with your story, just do it. Hit the heart emoji, just do it. Wherever I'm sharing it, just do what the platform requires you to do. Okay, the first lie you tell yourself, probably the biggest lie you tell yourself, is that you want to change. One of the best ways to actually build a path towards change is to understand that you don't want to change. Change is probably one of the last things you actually want to do. If you want to change, you have to realize that you want to stay the same. That's your problem. Your problem isn't that you want to change. Your problem is you want to stay exactly the way you are, even if that's causing you problems in your life. Now, why wouldn't you want to change your life if there are certain aspects of your life that you don't like? Why wouldn't you want to change if you don't even like yourself? It's very simple. You don't want to change because if you change, you have to change. You have to become something different than what you are right now. And as much as you might not like the life you're living, as much as you don't like the results you're getting, at least you can make sense of that, right? So when you actually decide that you want to change, you want to be something different or someone different, you have to swallow a bunch of really hard to swallow pills in that process. And they're just things that most people don't want to go through. If you want to change, you have to make the admission that you have been mismanaging your life for quite some time. You have to make the admission that you've been making your life way harder than it has to be. Like you didn't have to end up the way you were. You just chose it, and you can't accept that choice. So you don't want to make that realization and just cut bait and pivot to another section of your life. Also, you have to admit that this whole time you could have been living your life a different way, and you didn't. And for however long you didn't do that, you just wasted a bunch of time, and you know it. And you don't want to admit it, so you'd rather continue to cope. And really, it's just having to make the admission that like your failure to change is really because like you're afraid of nothing. It feels really dumb. Like what are you so afraid of? It's actually nothing, but it's everything at the same time. So you don't want to make that admission either. So all these things keep you wanting to stay the same. It's look at the way people live. Look at the way we all have this manifest in certain ways in our life. It's like we want to hold on so dear to certain parts of our identity that are either not getting us great results or that are completely toxic, because at least if you're a loser, you can become accustomed and like content with being a loser. It's better to become accustomed and content with being a loser than to know that you could be a winner and that you're just choosing to be a loser. It's better to just slap that label on yourself that you're incapable of doing something other than realizing that you're just not doing it. So that's lie number 1. If you want to change, you have to make the admission that you actually don't want to change at all. Coming from that perspective will give you the right ammunition to fight it and actually change. The second lie you tell yourself, it's that you're not who you think you are. You are who you actually are, right? So, a lot of us have this, we have this idea, we have this idea of who we could be. We have this idea of what our lives could look like if we lived up to our potential. We have this kind of idealistic version of ourselves that we kind of think about when we're daydreaming, and part of us almost tricks ourselves into thinking we're actually that person, right? But in reality, a lot of the things that we're doing in our life aren't matching that potential person that we could be. So I'm big on things like visualization. It's important to visualize your success, yada yada yada, but it's also important to look at the concrete and tangible results that are happening to you right now. So there's who you think you are, and then there's who you really are. It's what your behaviors are doing for you in the outcomes that they're getting. That's who you really are in the moment. It's the feedback that the world is giving you based on your actions. That's who, you really are. So, a lot of people, even myself in certain regards, you want to kind of mentally masturbate on this idealized version of yourself, but you have to deal with the reality of who you are right now. Sure, you picture yourself this amazing, world famous entrepreneur or something, but you're broke right now and you don't have any money and you need to fix that. You imagine yourself to be this big influencer in the future, but nobody gives a what about what you're doing right now. And you have to deal with that. You might have a lot of good intentions for the things you're going to do. And again, looking forward to the future is good, but after a certain point, you have to look at your behavior. You have to look at your behavior and see if it matches the way that you see yourself. And that's where a lot of anxiety and tension comes from, is because your behaviors aren't matching the way you see yourself, and somewhere in your subconscious, that, and it creates tension and anxiety. So yes, do some visualizations and picture yourself becoming a higher version of yourself now, but you can look in the clouds only for so long until you have to look at the ground, and you have to look at your present surroundings and see like what are you actually doing? What is any behavioral kind of method that you're actually using to move closer, instead of just imagining what your life could be like. The next lie you tell yourself is that your problem isn't what you think your problem is. Your problem is your interpretation of the problem, right? So in my post, the example I used was, a lot of short guys have a problem getting dates, right? A lot of short guys have problems finding a romantic partner or whatever. And they think it's because they are short. And it's not because they're short. They are not getting enough dates because they are insecure about their height, and they're projecting that out into the world, into the women they're interacting with, people they're interacting with, or they're just failing to do it all together because they throw up their hands and they figure, you know what, I'm short, I can't get a date, so I'm not even going to try for one, right? So that's just a common example for anything that you put in your head that, you feel like you can't achieve something for X reason, but you actually can't achieve something because your interpretation of whatever that perceived flaw you see in yourself in, that is what's causing you insecurity and is creating the inability for you to go and do those things that you want. And the simplest way to know that you're BSing yourself is that for anything that you tell yourself about yourself that's keeping you from getting what you want, there's a counter example of someone that you know, or someone that you can see in the grand scheme of things who's successful at what you want to do, who has the same characteristics and attributes as you, but they either don't let them hold them back, they find strength in them, whatever, like they don't care about those certain things, right? So I read a really good article from Mark Manson one time, and he was talking about the issue of confidence, and he put confidence in a way that I haven't heard really ever before, and it was really kind of poignant. And he said, confidence, it's not like self-aggrandizing behavior or anything like that. Confidence is really just the acceptance of your flaws. Like literally, he said that people who are most adept at accepting their flaws, who they are and just integrating it into themselves are going to do better in life. It's like, yeah, if you're short, you're never gonna be taller. You know, I wish I had a full head of hair, but I don't, and I'm balding. You know, I wish I could dunk. I got big calf muscles, but I can't even barely touch the rim. It would be nice if I could dunk, but I can't. So I have to accept those things and highlight the things that I do enjoy about myself, and even look at the things where I feel like I might have shortcomings and don't even see them that way, just to see them as another piece of who I am and lean fully into who I am. And that's what you need to do too. Just lean fully into who you are. And you know, people who accept their flaws or even turn them into strengths, they kind of have that rare quality, and you can tell it when you see it. So that's something that you should emulate. The next lie you tell yourself is that achieving a certain milestone or something like that is going to dramatically change the way you see yourself, right? So I mentioned in the article like the idea of money. So like making more money doesn't change who you are. It just allows you to be more of who you are. It just amplifies who you are, right? So a lot of people are looking for those fixes. So it's kind of like a catch-22 where, yes, you like, I'm a self-improvement writer. Obviously, you want to go and make accomplishments and improve your life and even improve some of the things in like the tangible realm, like making more money, you know, getting in better shape, like building your audience, whatever. Like those things are cool. I do those things. But you got to remember, like, that in and of itself isn't going to change you. And there's a way to go about the process of accumulating those things, like in the right way. And then there's like a wrong way to do it too. So the wrong way to go about these accomplishments is like, okay, you want to tell yourself that you're not going to be happy until you're a millionaire, right? So you work and toil away, like in the process, like you're doing cool stuff, like you're building a business, you're getting customers, you're putting yourself out there to grow your brand. That's cool, but you're not allowing yourself to be happy. Like you make this arbitrary milestone, and like you've made $999,000 and $999 at the end and 99 cents, and you still won't give yourself, you know, credit until you hit that mark. And then you feel like, oh, once I hit this magical 7-figure number, I'm gonna feel better. And then you don't feel better after you get it. You think when you achieve this goal, there's gonna be gold at the end of the rainbow, but all's at the end of the rainbow is you. All that's gonna be at the end of that rainbow is you. So what are you supposed to do about this? The right way to go about it is basically, it's not going after the thing hoping that it'll change you. It's this idea of acting as if you already had the thing before you get it. So it's behaving and putting yourself out there with the confidence of someone who has that 7-figure business before you have the 7-figure business. So why is that important? Well, I talked about this. You know, your behavior shows you who you really are. So a lot of people look at faking it till you make it or acting as fake, but in reality, that's what causes a real ground level change, because you're changing your behavior. Change your behavior first. Don't wait for some milestone in your life to happen or some external thing to happen for you to feel like you can't put yourself out there 100%. Because the reason why it's so scary, it's like scary to put yourself out there and act as if before you get it, is because it's easier to face rejection when you kind of like pre-reject yourself. So when you don't go all in and you kind of half-ass it, that's a way of rejecting yourself before you really get rejected, right? Because if you half-ass it, you can tell yourself a story. But if you go full in, chest out, guns blazing, and then you still fail, that's what really hurts. But going about the process that way is the way where you actually feel good about yourself. If you kind of like timidly and tepidly build your way up to that milestone, hoping it's going to change you, it's not going to work. But if you expose yourself as much as possible, and then still get that goal, it'll work. So there's a way to build a business that's going to leave you feeling hollow at the end, and there's another way to do the same thing to where you're inverting it and you're doing it in a way that allows you to take those blows and like gives you the opportunity to like try to be that person and then get feedback from the world telling you whether or not you're a person and kind of iterating along the way as opposed to just waiting. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the end of this point. And the last lie you tell yourself, it's just this idea of you got to think about your motivations for why you do things. And often, like, the motivation for why you do things isn't what you think it is. And 9 times out of 10, your motivation for doing something often comes down to signaling, right? So we're social animals. We like to signal out to our tribe to say, hey guys, I'm one of you. Make sure to accept me. Make sure to validate me. So on and so forth. So I look at a lot of things I see on social media, including the things I do on social media, right? We're all signaling out there like to how virtuous we are, how much, how we have moral superiority to everyone else. And you just see it manifested in all sorts of ways, right? You have people who they don't go and pick up trash on the weekends in their free time, but they post about climate change on Facebook. They don't actually care. They just like signaling that they care about the environment, but they don't actually participate in taking care of the environment like they should. Or, you have Christian conservatives finger wagging about morality and, being conservative and having right values, and they go home and watch Pornhub when their wife falls asleep, right? So we're all, there's a lot of different examples of this. I'm a self-improvement writer, motivational speaker, doing a crap ton of signaling myself, in saying any of this stuff. It's with the underlying thing that, hey, I'm improved, I'm a free thinker, I know what I'm talking about, and I try to combat that by trying to be as honest as I possibly can, still dealing with my own rationalizations, trying to weave through that, and hopefully when it comes across, you feel a level of sincerity in that I'm trying to give. So the remedy for myself and for you is, whatever your morals, your ideals are, the best way to know that you are following them is to follow them when nobody's watching. It's to donate money to charity and not tell anyone. It's to give money to someone on the street, homeless, without recording it. It's to live by virtues and taking away the need to send signals out how virtuous you are. So like there's something to be said about, a lot of the things that you care for and that you value, instead of like projecting it and signaling it out to the world, turning that internally and like allowing it to feed you instead of creating more sense of need for external validation. Like that continues to build your confidence, so on and so forth. End of that point in the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to grab my book, Real Help and Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. If you are on YouTube, it's in the description below. If you're on Instagram, it's in the link in my bio. If you're on any other platform, I'm going to post it, plaster it all over your face. Thank you very much. Follow me on the socials. Hit the buttons. Had a good time shooting this video. I will see you on the next one.